Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Discover Your Digital ROI. I am John Simpson, Digital Brand Strategist here at 2060 Digital, and I have the pleasure of being your mother today. So thank you for joining me. Today we're talking about how to measure return on investment in your digital marketing. Every organization has their own definition of success. However, if you don't understand what is contributing to that success, you're missing out on opportunities to grow your customer base and improve your bottom line. Today's speakers will go over different aspects of traditional marketing, explain how they impact your business, what you should be looking for to succeed, and best practices you can start doing today, right after this webinar. But before we dive into today's content, let's review a few housekeeping items. If you have any questions during the webinar, add them into the chat box. We will address them at the end of the session during our panel Q&A. We hope you don't have any technical difficulties, but if you do, click the question mark button for guidance on what to do. We're also recording this webinar, and we'll email you a link to the on-demand version tomorrow so you can share with your colleagues or view it again. Finally, I want to remind everyone about our offer for a complimentary digital marketing audit. Those who remain throughout the entire webinar will qualify to receive a custom report developed by one of our digital strategists. This digital audit reviews your existing marketing efforts to diagnose opportunities for growth and examine how your online investment aligns with your business goals. This audit is tailored to you and will provide actionable recommendations on how you can improve your own digital marketing capabilities. With all that housekeeping out of the way, let's learn more about today's speakers. Our first speaker is Brandon Tram, a digital campaign strategist here at 2060 Digital. Brandon is responsible for planning and executing paid search campaigns for all 2060 Digital markets. Prior to his current role, Brandon worked with 2060's overall campaign execution team. Before his time here, he was with the Google Global Customer Experience for small and medium-sized businesses. Brandon holds a BBA in Marketing and Entrepreneurship from the University of Cincinnati. Our second speaker is Jana Wilcox. Jana is the Senior Digital Sales Strategist at Hubbard Radio and 2060 Digital. She is responsible for training to sell digital solutions. She's also responsible for working with radio social media content producers, guiding station social strategy across Hubbard Radio brands. Prior to her role, she was a Senior Social Media Strategist for Hubbard Interactive Twin Cities. She obtained a degree from the University of Minnesota in Strategic Communication and Fashion Studies. Our final speaker today is Daniel Stoffels. Daniel is a Strategic Partner Manager on the Channel Partnerships team at Google. She's responsible for managing Google's key relationships with partners that have shown to have exceptional customer experience managing digital marketing solutions for small businesses. Prior to her current role, Danielle worked in Google's channel marketing team as well as SAP's Global Channel Marketing Organization. Danielle holds a BS from St. Joseph's University in Philadelphia. Now that we've heard some more about today's speakers, I want to hand off to Brand to walk us through how to measure ROI in Google search advertisements.
All right, thank you, John. As you said at the beginning, there will be some takeaways from this presentation that you can look to apply to any of your paid search marketing efforts that you might have in place at this moment. So we jump in to how we can start to measure your ROI from Google search ads. We're going to first look at how you define success. What is it that's going to make your campaign and your efforts successful? Then two, how do we get in and actually create the conversion actions that are going to help us track that success? Then lastly, once we have those things set up, how do we optimize for better performance and make improvements along the way? Overall, when you start to create campaigns and advertise on Google search, here are some key steps to follow. And this is one of those takeaways. First, outline your goals. What are the products, services that you're looking to advertise? Two, you want to determine your audience. Where are they located geographically? You could set that targeting. What types of things are your potential customers searching for? You can look at that in the keyword research. How much are you looking to spend? You set your budget on a monthly or a daily basis. Bid accordingly, meaning how much is a click to your website worth to you. You can build your account structure, thinking about how you can organize those products and services to better reach your customer audience. To write high-performing ads, you can call out specials, sales, unique identifiers to your business, all those things that are going to entice the user to click on your ad. What we're going to dive into here is to define the success metrics and start to measure the return on your ad spend and tracking those conversion actions. And then the last thing is to make optimization a habit. One thing that's very unique to Google search ads is that it's a living and breathing advertising platform. It changes on a daily basis, and it's definitely something that you don't want to set and forget. So going to the part where we want to define the actions that matter to you. At the end of the day, the simple answer is sales, or how do we make more money? Now, there's different ways to measure that. If you have e-commerce set up, it could just be tracking actual online sales, the products on your website. If it's a little bit more complicated than that, you could set up conversion points as simple as phone calls. You can measure users that see your ad in Google and then click to call your business. There's also some more advanced tracking that you can track users that get to your website and then call, so on and so forth. You also might have some service request forms or a contact form on your webpage. You can help to see users that engage with your ad, get to your website, and then fill out any one of those forms. So as we have laid out there at the bottom, there are some examples. A contact form, an online sale, an appointment or a service request, a phone call, and then the last two things there we have are what we call soft conversions. So if you think of more of the user behavior, how are they interacting with your site? Are they visiting enough pages on your site for you to deem that as a valuable interaction? So on and so forth. So the basic setup in your Google Ads account for these conversion actions can be done two ways. Being a Google Premier Partner and working with all of their products and services to integrate them together, we always recommend having full access and editability to your Google Analytics account so that you can see all of your web traffic a little bit more holistically and not just in the silo of your paid search ads. So if you look at linking your Google Analytics, it's a pretty simple process. You can log in, assuming that we have a uniform login for your Google Ads and your Google Analytics. You just navigate to the settings in the property section, go to the Google Ads linking, and then link the account that we're worried about. Now, if you don't have that set up and you're working on linking some conversion actions to your Google Ads, you can apply some tags. So some custom pixels that go on the back end of your website. So that could be placing a code on a thank you or a confirmation page once a user reaches the end of that form. It could also be placing a tag on the phone number that's listed on your page. Let's say it's at the top of your page or at the footer. You can place some custom code on there to track users that make that phone call once they get to your site. Now, once you have those conversion actions in place and you start to record a decent amount of them, you can look to make even further adjustments to your campaign to optimize for more performance. Here are some options on bidding strategies that you can employ to help you to get to those target numbers. So let's say you very simply want to drive as much traffic to your website as possible to increase the amount of potential users that could create or complete a conversion action. You might use maximize clicks and say, we're not willing to spend more than X amount of dollars for a click, and let's get as much as we can. You could use a common bid strategy in Google for enhanced cost per click and let their automated, let the system automate towards users that it believes are going to result in a conversion action. You might have a number in mind already that is your target spend to acquire a new customer. Let's just say it's $100. You could set that parameter, and Google's going to look to optimize the campaign as best it can to reach that target cost per acquisition. One really interesting bid strategy, if you're in an advertising space competing for that Google text ad space against maybe one other competitor, this is a super competitive and unique instance where you can bid to outrank that competitor's website to make sure that your ad is at the top of search results as much as possible. Even further integrations, sort of going back to the setup of those conversion points. We talked about linking Google Analytics. That is the tool that is almost universally used to track user behavior and acquisition of users to websites across the board. And with that, you can see what pages they go to, set up some goals, and link all that to your advertising efforts. But it's not just limited to Google Analytics. If you look at the far right, Google My Business, your Google My Business profile is very important. And linking that up to your Google Ads campaign can help you to get the full value of Google's location extensions and allow users to get information and interact with where your business is located to help drive some store traffic and some foot traffic. You could also link up your YouTube account. If you have some videos, if you are bringing in some YouTube advertising, you can get some insights from there. If you do have the ability and the setup for shopping ads and selling products online, linking up your merchant center and taking good care of your data feed is important in getting those listings. If you have an app, linking up systems like Google Play and the App Store. And then there's also some advanced CRM options like linking up Salesforce being the main one. So there are plenty of ad integrations to help you to tell a different story, to not just look at the amount of clicks that you're bringing to your website, but to help to measure what happens next and for you to get a good idea of your return on your Google ad spend.
Thanks, Brandon. That was a lot of great information. I honestly didn't even know that you could connect the CRMs like Salesforce with Google Ads. That's really exciting. I imagine has a lot of implications for people who are using a tool like that to manage their own customer relationships. Going off of Brandon, next up is Gina, who will provide us steps on how to reach and measure our digital goals in social media. Gina, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. So just as John had mentioned, I'm here to talk about social media. So there's a lot to learn. Social media is such a key component now for your business goals. So I will dive right into it. So how can you reach your goals on social media? This is a huge question and something I'm going to really touch on and highlight a lot in this presentation. So right off the bat, I just want to talk about a few things that you can do that are easy steps to just really gear you up for that takeoff. So in order to be present on social media, you're going to want to make that business page. And right here, I'm focusing on Facebook specifically, but these tips and tricks will cross over into all channels such as Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, and so forth. So feel free to dive in more after this, but here's some easy tools to get started on social media, specifically with Facebook. And I focus on Facebook because Facebook's really the big contender. It's the number one. So if you are choosing a channel to be on for social media, definitely I would start by focusing on Facebook and then move forward from there. So a few tips here, as you can see, is number one, get verified. So something as simple as that little check mark next to your name is going to set you apart from competitors and just make you look like that reputable business you are. Another reason that you want to do that is because there's sometimes fan pages out there, or maybe there's an employee who made a Facebook page that you don't even know exists. So get verified right away. It's going to help in a lot of different aspects, and it's super simple. Just head to settings, you can get verified, it'll call a number, give you a code, or you can upload files, and that sort of thing. Next, you're going to want to be consistent across the board. So whether that's your website, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, make that profile picture stand out as your logo, and then moving to cover photos, display your services or products there. Another big thing with cover photos right now, which is that little banner piece on your Facebook page, is you can play around with video, which is huge, and I'll talk about video in just a second. But that's your chance and opportunity to really display those services that you might have. But for that profile photo, I would definitely recommend a logo. Maintain a consistent posting schedule. So the easiest way to do this is by creating a content calendar. You can do something as simple as a spreadsheet, or you can download tools and have things to schedule those out. So Facebook alone does a nice job of scheduling posts. Otherwise, there's plenty of tools out there that are free or that you can pay for that'll help. And the reason for this is you want to really be consistent with posting. Facebook has an algorithm, which you are probably aware of or have heard of, and that algorithm is constantly changing. So in order to keep up with it and really be competitive, you want to make sure you have a consistent posting schedule and a variety of content, whether that be organic, looking photos, videos, industry-related articles, reposting blogs. You just really want to keep that content rolling. Now we talk about video. So video is huge, and I could have a whole presentation alone on this, but I'll briefly touch on the importance of it, especially on social media. So video has really skyrocketed a lot in the last couple years, and we've seen it grow, and it's just going to continue to grow. In fact, Facebook just rolled out a new Facebook video creation kit, which is a whole nother huge tool that just came out as well. You've probably heard of Facebook Live, but the point is post videos, they do well, and especially the audiences who are on Facebook really respond well to it, and you'll start seeing that engagement rolling a lot. Get that about section filled out. Something as simple as that will help you really stand out, and the about section on Facebook is going to help you be more searchable as well. So making sure that there's keywords in there that are relevant to who you are if you want to be found easier. Just make sure it's all filled out and optimized to really be found, and especially stay competitive with that. Vanity URL, you're going to want to make sure that this is done as well. So customize that. As you can see here on the right, I have the verified, but then under it's at Hubbard Interactive. So you're going to want to make sure that you customize these types of things. Everything matters, and you really want to be found well and show that you are that reputable business that you are showing to be on social media. Sweepstakes, again, a whole other thing that I could go into. Sweepstakes are awesome. It's a great way to grow your fan base. It's a great way to grow emails, but it's also a great way just to get that engagement. And again, we're trying to work with that algorithm all the time. So doing giveaways on your social media pages like Facebook and Instagram are going to be really helpful for your business and to help ultimately with that ROI in the end. And then paid advertising, which is what I'm going to get into the most here, is really, really important. So it's a pay-to-play world these days with Facebook. Yes, organic content is crucial and very important, but we're seeing that, paid advertising is going to be very important. And many of my clients always come to me, or potential clients, and ask, what I boost posts. Why can't I just boost posts? I'm doing it fine. And that's great. If you're boosting posts currently, that's awesome. Or if you've heard of it or you considered it, kudos to you. But one thing that I'm going to talk about specifically is Ads Manager, because it's a tool that Facebook has for Business Manager and business accounts that really allows you to get way more in depth on targeting and find that relevant audience, so you're getting much more quality leads. So identify your objectives. I talked about Ads Manager a little bit, and here's what that looks like. So Ads Manager is available to anyone who has a Facebook business page. If you're an admin of it and you're unsure how to get into that, it's pretty simple. You can just Google Facebook Ads Manager, and it'll link up to whatever Facebook business page you're an admin of. So as you can see here, this lays out the different objectives. And you're going to want to make sure that you're choosing the right objective for you. So what are your business goals? Hopefully you've defined what those are. And within Facebook Ads Manager, you can see here that there are plenty of different objectives for trying to reach those goals. Many of them that relates to ROI, right? So as you can see here, there's things like driving traffic to the website, creating engagement, video views, brand awareness, conversions. There's a lot of things that you can do in here, and I would really highly suggest that you head in there and explore it because it's very, very cool, the possibilities and the opportunities to grow your business in many ways that you might not even have known. And I will get into the different targeting tools in just a minute on how to really work with those and the options available to you. One thing I really want to point out here too is that you can see across the board there's awareness, consideration, and conversion. And not all of these ads are going to make sense for your business. And there's a few things that you're going to want to do in order to make sure you're able to place these types of ads. So for example, conversion ads, if you have an e-commerce website especially, or if you're just trying to get information of people who are on your website and how they're responding on social media, I would really suggest that you implement a Facebook pixel. So the next slide I have on here is installing a Facebook pixel, and I'll talk about the importance of that. So a lot of times I will be meeting with somebody and I notice that right off the bat they don't even have a Facebook pixel installed. And this is the number one thing. If you're going to be placing ads on Facebook, I would definitely get done. Again, it's right in Facebook Ads Manager under Pixels, and it's a snippet of code that you can have any web developer or whoever is in charge of the back end of your website copy and paste into that. It's a very easy step-by-step that Facebook will allow you to just easily view and implement. Now, as you can see here, you can check if you have that Facebook pixel installed by just downloading the extension, and you can start to see other competitors who have it installed, different things like that. Actually, Facebook about a month ago just allowed us to see what other competitors are also running for ads. So I would suggest that too. Go take a look at competitors and see what ads are they running, because you might be surprised what you find. And that's just right on their business page in the tab on the left that says ads or other info. So going back to the Facebook pixel here, I just put 3 points that Facebook makes of why this is so important. So you want to make sure your ads are being shown to the right people. This collects information about the people that are on your website and the people that are going there currently. So what the Facebook pixel is going to allow you to do is retarget those people with ads on social media. On Facebook, Facebook owns Instagram, so you can run those ads on Instagram as well. It's really important to get that frequency and most importantly that relevancy. You can build advertising audiences through this, so you can find people that are on your site. You can create lookalike audiences to those people, which I'll talk about in a minute. And you can unlock additional Facebook advertising tools. So definitely, if anything, go do this. It's very important, and it's that holistic approach. You want to make sure you're doing everything, and I'll talk about that too in a minute. We heard from Brandon the importance of Google Analytics. We're seeing the Facebook pixel here. We want it all to work together because that's really what's going to make the best success in the end. So here's a little bit about targeting that consumer. So in order to get that ROI and to really reach your goals, you want to be targeting the right person. And this is where it comes into play where I talked about boosting a post versus diving into Ads Manager. So in Ads Manager, you have a variety of options for targeting the consumer you're trying to reach. So as you can see here, you can target by demo and geo, so interest-based targeting, location. Maybe there's specific zip codes you want to target, or a specific address, or it's a radius around certain cities. That's possible. If you want to do, people interested in a certain topic, there's that option as well. Now, some things have changed a little bit with the changes on Facebook, so some behavior targeting has changed, so just double check on that. You may have heard some things, but there's some changes being made, but that's not to say that there's not still so many options that you can do in here. Targeting email databases. So many times people have this huge email database that they aren't utilizing to its full advantage. And this is something that's super great too, and I would definitely suggest doing if you have a good email database. So hopefully you're doing some email marketing with that, but in order to create those other touch points, you want email marketing, but then how cool would it be if you had an ad being served to those same people that was also in their inbox in their emails? So what you can do here is, if you have a great email database, is you can upload those emails into Facebook, and it'll then match those email addresses to Facebook logins, and you can start targeting those people as well. Retargeting from the website, this goes back to that Facebook pixel. Again, very important, that nice holistic approach. You want to be retargeting. Those are the people that are interested in your business, if they're on your website especially, but you can also find really cool information about those people with that pixel. Lookalike audiences, this relates to all three things: demo and geo, targeting email databases, and retargeting from the website. And the reason being is that lookalike audiences is a really, really cool feature that you can do, where you can essentially mirror those people based on geography, demographics, behaviors. So if you want to retarget from the website and build that lookalike audience to mirror those people, you can. If you want to upload that email database and then you want to create a lookalike audience on that email database, you can. Or maybe it's a lookalike audience for people who like your page. It can be as simple as that. But this is another great tool to find those people who are not already engaging or fans of your page, and you can start reaching them as well. So I talked about a lot of the advertising tools and options, and I really went in depth on that part of it. Again, just to reiterate, it's very important to continue posting organic content, maintaining that presence, that consistency, and then of course that Facebook advertising I talked about. But then how do you measure it? And that's a really big question that many people have. So something I hear a lot is that social media it's hard to measure and very hard to monetize, and it is. And I agree in many ways, except for the reason I can disagree is that it's very easy if you know how to analyze the data. So one thing that is really important is that you start learning the terminology and understanding and viewing the analytics, because there's a lot happening and being posted and content always being served to audiences, but how do you know that that's working? So I would really suggest that you go into an analytics tool. There's many out there that you can, again, download or invest in. Otherwise, Facebook itself does a really great job of showing insights. And so I would definitely recommend doing that. If you have a business page heading into insights, or if you're placing these ads, you can go in and analyze that data as well. So just a few terms here: engagement, reach, impressions, link clicks, landing page views. Those are just a few of the many different ways you can analyze and start seeing how these ads are working or how your content's working. So whatever your goals might be, or in the end, if you're wondering what is this doing, you might find that there's a lot of people engaging with content, or it served many impressions, or a certain amount of people clicked on the link, but you might not have known that until you start looking at the data that's going on in the back end. So again, do that holistic approach. Social media is a key component right now with businesses, and you definitely should have that presence. But also make sure that you're using other tools such as Google Analytics. So right alongside the information that you're getting on Facebook, you want to see how it's working with each other. And I wanted to put this on there too. All of the brand awareness that social media brings are all soft leads for your business. So all those are touch points to the goals you're trying to reach. So brand awareness alone, people seeing your content or people seeing your video or getting notified that you're live on Facebook, those are all essentially soft leads. So no, you don't necessarily have to pay tons of money in ads in order to get those leads. But if you do it all as a whole, I guarantee you'll start seeing results come in. I did want to add this too. There's a lot I could dive into. There are specifically lead generation ads, for example, that you can get those direct leads from. Start playing around in Ads Manager, whether those are conversion ads, you create a lead form right on Facebook. Try doing that stuff, and I would really suggest going into Ads Manager and playing around with it, because the possibilities are really endless, and there's always great updates happening, and social media is a great way to discover that ROI.
Thanks, Jana. I can't empathize enough the Facebook pixel that it's something that's free, it's easy to implement, and it gives you so much value back, especially if you're creating custom audiences. I know I learned a lot even about the targeting email databases, things that I'm definitely excited to bring to some clients. Thank you for all that great information. Our next speaker and final speaker for the day is Danielle, who's going to give us a first-hand look on the different methods to reach the modern consumer through different pieces of Google's advertising, how we can best use those different solutions to manage success.
Great, thanks so much. And can you hear me?
We can.
Perfect. All right, thanks everyone. Super excited to talk to you today about how to reach new customers with Google Ads, but I'll also touch on organic search. And the way that Google is looking at it today is by taking a look at today's digital consumer and understanding the buying journey and the time that people are spending online and interacting with digital devices. I'll also talk at a high level about search engine marketing and then dive into some of the Google ad formats. So as marketers or business owners, we're always thinking about people and thinking about how we reach them, how do we engage them, how do we get them to buy what we're selling or use our service. And in this constantly connected world, it's very exciting. There's never been a better time to leverage digital. And as consumers, we're constantly connected. The opportunity in digital marketing has gotten much larger as of late. Consumers are now spending more than 5 hours a day with their digital devices, which is surpassing television viewing. We actually saw those lines cross where TV viewing was surpassed by digital for the first time in 2013. Given the growth and proliferation of tablets and smartphones, it's really no wonder, and it gives you the opportunity to stay constantly connected as a consumer, but it gives you also the opportunity to stay connected to your potential customer through digital. So even the smartphone is much less a phone today and much more of a computer. We're seeing people actually use the smartphones for browsing the web or interacting with social media, as Jana explained during her section, more so than for making phone calls even. So about 80% of time on mobile phones is spent browsing the web or in apps. My own morning routine is reading the news on my phone while I commute to work. So I'm based in the New York City office here at Google, but I live in the suburbs. So constantly on my phone, reading emails or browsing the news. So the number on the right side of my slide is a little bit shocking, more than 2 hours a day for US users on mobile content. But how we're actually connected varies. And I love this chart because it actually shows us a picture of how people interact with their devices throughout the day. As you can see, search is all the time, at any moment of the day. It just depends on what device people are on, their computer, their mobile phone, their tablet. People are constantly connected from morning to night. And here we see that the peak hour for traditional desktop searches is midday. And that makes sense, right? Because think about right now, we're all at work, we're at our desktop, we're on our laptop, which counts as desktop in this chart. But it's rare that users are searching on their desktop in the evening. Users are still searching well into the evening, but they're more so on mobile phones or tablets. So again, just being constantly connected. And this lends a huge opportunity for businesses to get in front of potential customers. Because we're constantly connected, the way that we make purchase decisions has changed. So as marketers, you want to start thinking about this as you think about how to actually approach the audience that you're trying to target for your specific products or services. We found that consumers consult, on average, 10.7 sources before making a purchase. So today, we're all of us are what Google is calling a digital explorer. We're seeking out online ratings, social media-based peer reviews, videos. I know Jana talked a lot about video in her portion as well, and in-depth product details as we move down the path to purchase. So the sources that we're looking at range from TV commercials and magazine articles to recommendations from friends and family, websites, ratings, blogs online, and search is a huge part of that. In general, 78% of United States-based internet users go online to search products and services before they buy them. Our constant connectivity has transplanted and created a more complex paths to conversion with multiple touch points across several devices. So consumers are more informed than ever. And as you saw from the previous slide, they leverage a large number of sources to help them make better decisions. So if you think about your own behavior, you may realize that you spend time on other websites reading blogs, watching videos, and making comparisons to help you make smarter choices. So in other words, consumers are not only consulting multiple sources to get information, but they're consulting a variety of different types of sources to find the info that they need. And the process with which consumers discover, research, compare, and purchase online isn't limited to Google only. So I love this chart because it actually shows this complex path to purchase where I might search for something, in terms of just researching generally what I'm interested in, but I'll likely research it a variety of other ways before I actually make that purchase. Another really cool anecdote that I often talk about when I show this slide is buying a car. So gone are the days where I'm going to the dealership and spending, a few hours walking in, saying, hey, I need a 7-seater SUV. What do you have for me? I'm being sold a car by a car dealer. I'm in line at the grocery store on my phone researching best 7-seater SUV. And I know by the time I walk into the car dealership, what car I want, what color I want, the options that I want in it, and even what I'm willing to pay for that car. So we're seeing people take a slightly more complex path to purchase where they're digesting information in smaller snippets before they actually come to an extremely informed purchasing decision. So search, as I mentioned, is key to any digital advertising strategy. So I'm going to touch a little bit now on search engine optimization. And one of the biggest concerns that we hear from businesses is that they don't want to pay for ad clicks when they can get clicks for free on their organic listing. And this they feel is particularly relevant when it comes to searches for their brand name. Google did a study, and our study showed that ad clicks on brand searches are oftentimes incremental to your organic listing clicks. And what that means is if your ad didn't show, even if your organic ranking did, you could lose a considerable amount of website traffic. So on average, 50% of the ad clicks that occurred with a top rank organic result are incremental. So what that means is that they would not be recovered organically if the ad campaign paused. So that means if you usually have 100 clicks a day from organic, when you have an ad, you're going to get 150 clicks. And it becomes even more extreme as you move down the organic results page. So on my slide here, you see top organic associated with that 50% in incremental ad clicks. But as you move down the page past the top organic listing, ad clicks associated with an organic result ranking from 2 to 5, so that's the green highlight on my slide, average 81% incremental ad clicks. So once again, if you use the 100 click per day organic benchmark, you get 182 clicks a day. And even more drastic in the 5th spot or lower, when ranked organically in spot 5+, you'd end up with 196 clicks if you topped it up with an ad. So this makes total sense because when you're further down the search engine results page, you're barely seen in that 5+ spot. So it's more advantageous to have ads on the top of the page, but still really important to pair organic search with an ads campaign strategy. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what Google Ads is. And now that we have a good understanding of what search engine marketing is and why it's important to have an SEM strategy on top of our organic strategy, we'll talk about Google Ads specifically. Many of you likely know this, but I'll touch briefly. Google Ads is our advertising platform that will allow you to be found by prospective customers while they are online. Included with Google Ads, so I talked a lot about search when I was looking at organic versus search engine marketing and clicks. YouTube is also a part of our ad strategy. YouTube is owned by Google, and you can have your video ads found on YouTube through Google AdWords. Fun fact that I love to talk about with YouTube is that YouTube is the second largest search engine after Google. So if you took the whole universe of Google and all of the searches that happen on Google and you stripped out the YouTube searches and separated them, made them separate, YouTube is still larger than Bing, Yahoo, and all other search engines combined. So it's a massive opportunity to reach a really large audience. Google Display Network also allows you to place ads on a variety of other news sites, blogs, and other niche sites across the internet. Jana was talking about audience targeting specifically with Facebook, and the Display Network actually allows you to do this as well. So you can choose what audience you're interested in, as well as certain sites that you'd like your ad to appear on. So when we look at advertising on Google search, there are obviously the search engine, Google Display Network, and YouTube, but there are also Google Shopping ads for the retailers out there on the webinar, and Google Maps as well. So if you have a brick and mortar store, there is an opportunity to advertise in Google Maps and have your ads pop up there. And now just to demystify a little bit about how Google Ads, or previously known as AdWords, works. So there is an algorithm constantly changing related to ad rank. So how does my ad actually come up? Is it the first ad? Is it the second ad? Where does it show up on the search engine results page? And essentially, the algorithm is built up of 3 different elements. So the first one is the maximum cost per click. So as many of you likely know, Google Ads is an auction. So you'll put in what your maximum willingness to spend on your ad showing is. If you have a maximum cost per click of $1 and the next closest competitor to you only bids 75 cents, as an example, you will only pay 76 cents to come up as top. So you don't necessarily pay the max price. Another element is the quality score. So lots of things go into quality score: the relevance of your landing page, the relevance of your keywords, how relevant your ad is, and your click-through rate, and a number of other factors play into the quality score. And then last but not least are your ad extensions, which I'll touch on in another couple of slides. But the combination of your maximum cost per click, quality score, and the quality of your ad extension will actually influence your ad rank. If you have a very, very high quality score, you will pay less to come in the first for the ad rank and have your ad actually show up first. So what does quality score influence? Because that's the one that's sort of the mysterious bucket in the algorithm. So your quality score influences eligibility, so whether or not your ad is even eligible to enter the auction for that query. Determines your position, which I covered a lot on the last slide, but your relative position compared to other people bidding on the same keyword terms, and then also the price. So a better quality score will reduce the bid you need. Where we see this play in most in terms of price is your own branded terms. So if you bid on your own brand term, like your business name, and it matches the text that you have in your ad and also matches the destination URL in your landing page, your quality score will be very high and you will likely pay much less for that ad. We covered this already on a previous slide as well, but the max cost per click is actually the amount that you're willing to pay for a click on your ad, and the actual cost per click is what you end up paying after the auction. So will always be 1 penny more than the closest bidder. And then last but not least, ad extensions. So I mentioned ad extensions when we were talking about the ad rank algorithm overall. Extensions are super important. So if you look at the picture on the left of the slide without extensions versus the one on the right, more than anything, you're actually taking up more of the search engine results page. And I love this, right? Because it's all about real estate. If we think back to traditional media advertising and advertising in the newspaper, there's this term called above the fold. Still holds true for digital, right? I'm less likely to scroll down with my mouse or scroll down on my phone to look at additional ads or additional organic listings if what I need is right in the top. So to capture the attention and the mind share of the consumer that you're targeting, it's very beneficial to have extensions. With that, you're also able to classify your clients better. So by adding extensions, you can actually drive them to specific parts of your landing page or to take very specific actions right within your ad. And then it's also proven to drive more relevant traffic, so a higher click-through rate, about 10 to 20% boost in click-through rate. So key learnings. Today's consumers are spending more time online researching before making a purchasing decision. And this should come as no surprise, really, because if you just think about yourself as a consumer and how much time we spend online, you know that you're very likely to look something up as marketers. And I have to remind myself of this on a day-to-day basis. Just we need to think about how we act as consumers and make sure that our marketing strategy aligns to the overall consumer behavior that we partake in ourselves and know that our friends and family are doing as well. And it's critical for you to be where your clients and your prospects are when they're looking there. And that's in search. So by doing search engine marketing, you're promoting your website and you're showing up in the search engine results page. Now, not to discount organic, as I mentioned, there is a place obviously for organic as well. We truly believe that search engine marketing paired with organic search is the best mix to make sure that you're seen. And last but not least, Google Ads allows your prospective customers to find you wherever you are, whether it's the Google Display Network, searching through YouTube and having your video ads show up, or on the search engine. Google has over 7 properties that touch 1 billion people on a monthly basis, and you can have access to them. Now, the great thing is that, Google Ads can be somewhat complex. I heard a little bit about Google Analytics at the beginning of this webinar, and I heard about Facebook and installing pixels in the middle. And the awesome news for everyone listening today is that 2060 Digital is actually a premier Google partner, and you don't have to be a master of any of this because we've got people over at 2060 who speak to me at Google on almost a daily basis and have access to Google experts, so they can help you with setting up this overall digital strategy and making sure that you're set and that you're reaching your target audience. So with that, I am very excited to pass back over to John. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Danielle. That was a lot of great information. I know I was blown away by that large click-through boost, 10 to 20% by using ad extensions. That's crazy. And it's cool to know that that's something you can just have, that Google just allows for its ads program. So I know that's something that we try to push as much as possible. So now we move to our panel Q&A session where we will be presenting questions that we've received from all y'all. And if you do have any questions, make sure you put them in the chat box. We have a great few ones right now. The first one is actually for Danielle. We had a question about some Google stats. You presented a lot of great information. Where can someone find a little bit more information about Google statistics, especially if they're trying to make the justification of why they should be doing Google advertising?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a public website, www.google.com/trends. You can actually test out, keyword trends, see where certain keywords are trending. There's also another public website called thinkwithgoogle.com. Lots of really great stats and updates there that are all publicly available. So feel free to look there. And I know also, John, if I may, somebody asked in the Q&A about my data cited source from 2011. I think this is the one that's talking about incremental clicks from SEO to SEM. I will just call this one out specifically. So that study was done to just prove the effectiveness of organic plus paid traffic. We have not repeated that study, so there's not updated data. But the purpose was just to prove that they didn't cannibalize each other and that they are incremental and helpful. So that's just now a belief within Google. The study has not been repeated lately.
That makes total sense. The next question we have from Jana, for Jana actually, is we post a lot of content ourselves on Facebook pretty often. Do we still need to pay for Facebook ads?
That's a good question. So, like I mentioned, it's a pay-to-play world. So if you are paying, there's a better chance that you are going to be seen and the content's going to be seen to that specific audience. But no, it's really important that you're doing that organic posting as well. Like I mentioned, a variety is very crucial. So as long as you're not just posting article after article after article, or if you're not, just posting templates after templates, really switch up that variety. Make sure that the content is engaging and going to really attract the audience, because Facebook is smart and it does understand and learn who each audience is, and it will start serving content to the relevant audience if you're doing it right. So no, not necessarily you don't have to pay, but of course it is a pay-to-play world. If you do, it'll help in your favor, but it's not necessarily required totally. So
cool. That's a perfect answer. The next question is for Brandon. You had mentioned during your presentation to make optimization a habit. Can you give an example of what you typically optimize and what you're looking to do within a campaign to extend the ROI of someone's investment?
Sure. So there are many steps you could take to optimize a paid search campaign. First, if you want to look at just how much you're spending per click and make sure that those numbers look okay to you, and your costs aren't skewing too high, and you have your bid set high enough to be competitive, you just start to look at that, and Google's system does do a great job of giving you recommendations based on what it's seeing and opportunities to make adjustments. There's also continued effort, or you can make a constant effort to update the content of your ad campaign. Danielle talked about ad extensions, and those are always a great place to look and draw content from your website or any current promotions or offers that you might have, and to build those out. There are different options for site-like extensions to bring a user deeper into your website. You can add in non-clickable call-out extensions for maybe no shipping, or like I said, with a special offer, percentage off. And then the location extensions, adding in Google My Business. So there's plenty of opportunities to make changes. And once you log in, you can start to address how your campaign is doing. And then if you're at a loss for where to move forward, just check the recommendations tab and you can get some good advice.
Awesome. That is great, fantastic information. Google My Business especially is that if you don't have a handle on Google My Business profile, that's something that you should, again, a nice piece to extend your brand awareness online. Next question is for Danielle. So obviously from the ad extension stat that you presented, we have a lot of questions around ad extensions as a whole. What kind of extensions are possible? Do you have to pay for them? Can you give us a little bit more in-depth information about what extensions are available and if there's a cost associated with it?
Yeah, so great questions. There's no cost. In fact, if you add ad extensions, it will likely boost your quality score and make your ads cheaper. So highly suggest that you do them. Lots of different extensions available. There are location extensions, which will actually drive people to your specific location if you have a brick and mortar store. There are call extensions, which add that click to call button. Huge variety of extensions. I don't need to rattle them all off now, but just say, look it up on, Google it, so to speak, but also 2060 can help you. So there's no reason to be setting up your own ads or to try to become an expert in the ad space. Take advantage of the relationship that you already have here and let 2060 help you set these up. But no additional cost to have ad extensions, but it'll actually likely lower your cost.
I wholeheartedly agree with that point. Our next question is for Gina. The question is, it's hard for us to tie social media to sales, but I know it's important to do. How can I convince my boss that it's still a place we should be investing time in?
Sure. Great question. And this is something that a question I run into all the time. So again, I would really suggest that you're taking a look into those analytics, because a lot of times you might be posting content or placing ads and again, not really seeing the success in the back end, and you will be quite amazed, and it's something that you can do. So going to that Facebook Insights tab or investing in a tool, there's some free ones out there. We've used TapClick, Sprout Social, there's Hootsuite, there's many, many analytics tools that you can use in order to really examine how things are working. And again, brand awareness alone, the impressions that are being served or the amount of reach you're getting on content is all very important. And as I mentioned in my presentation, they're all soft leads. So whatever your goals are, you can kind of determine, what an impression is worth. So how many people seeing your content or your promotion, what is that worth to you? Or maybe your goal is to drive traffic to your website. So if that's a goal, then you can start doing that on social media. So give the options to whoever that might be your boss of look at all these different objectives we can do, and here's how we can measure them. So take a look at those analytics and really start seeing, because they might be surprised at what's happening on the back end. And also, too, something simple, where did you hear about us or how did you do this? Put in a survey result or do something like that, and you'll be surprised, too, especially that younger audience. They're finding a lot of their, they're making a lot of decisions through social media.
Great, that's fantastic. It makes a lot of sense and things that we can do right after this webinar. Last question, that was originally just a Google Analytics question, but I'm going to extend it for all the things we've been talking about. We'll start with you, Brandon, then go through the rest of the speakers. 30 seconds. What are like the top 2, top 3 stats that people should be looking at in either Google Analytics, Facebook Ad Manager to prove success?
Sure. It's tough for me to nail down and say look at sessions or users or time on site and say that that's the most important thing. When I hear that question, I interpret it as, how do I use all this data that I'm seeing to answer a question that I need answered? And the first thing I would suggest is to have that question in mind. What are you looking for? Then you can navigate these tools, whether it's Ads Manager or Google Analytics, and click around to try and find that answer. But the most important thing, in my opinion, is to know or have an idea of what you're looking for.
Great, Brandon. Jana.
Yeah, so I would say that a lot of times people will take into consideration how many page fans they have or how many impressions their ad is reaching or their content. But what it really comes down to, in my opinion, is engagement. So taking a look at, it starts at the top from, likes and then comments to shares. So if somebody's liking your content, that means that they're, supporting it, thumbs up, or reacting to it. If they're commenting on it, they have an opinion and they want to engage in that conversation. Or if they're sharing it, it means so much to them that they want their friends to know. So shares in that case is really a great thing that you can look at if you're just looking at an engagement standpoint. Otherwise, my number 2 thing would be get that Facebook Pixel installed, start looking at what that's doing and what that's tracking for you, and then start retargeting with that.
Fantastic. Danielle?
Yeah, my main takeaway for everyone would, if you only got one thing out of my portion, would just be to be found online. So, consumers are impatient and they want the data, we want the data when they want it, how they want it, and exactly when they're looking for it. So what I always say to clients when we're chatting one-on-one is, if you're not there, and they're going to find somebody else who meets the need. So, you want to make sure that you're online, that you're found in search. If you want to focus just on organic, that's totally fine. But go run a search, and don't just search your brand term. Why don't you also search the way that someone might look for you? So for example, if you're an appliances store, don't search your store name, search appliance store near me, open now, and see if you come up, and then think about ways that you could enhance that potentially with a Google Ads campaign to make sure that you're found when people are searching for you.
Awesome. All those are great answers. And that's really all we have for today's webinar. I'd like to thank all today's speakers for their time and all the questions that you've shared with us. If you didn't get a chance to actually have your question answered, don't worry. We will provide an answer to you after the webinar. We went over a lot of information today, and if you're thinking to yourself, I'm not sure how I can do all this by myself, the good news is you don't have to. 2060 Digital is a full-service digital marketing agency that does everything we actually talked about today. We can help figure out how to best reach your audience with the right message no matter where they are. Our team of experts manage hundreds of clients across the country and have helped develop a custom digital strategy for each one of them. Think of us as an extension of your own team that will help to bring even more success to your business. And as Danielle mentioned, we are proud to be a Google Premier Partner, one of a few hand-picked companies that meet Google's most stringent eligibility and training requirements. When working with us, you can be confident you're benefiting from the experience and expertise of Danielle and her team at Google as well. And before we go, congratulations. You have now qualified for a complimentary digital marketing audit. Woohoo! One of our team members will be following up with you to schedule next steps and receiving this custom review of your digital marketing channel, so be on the lookout for that. But thank you again to our great speakers, and thank you all of you, our attendees, for taking time out of your day to join us. I know it's not easy with everything else you have going on and making time for this thought leadership investment in your own business, but we hope it's been worth your while, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.